And we are live. Yeah, okay. So this is the INO podcast. INO podcast. Information, knowledge, and observation. But also it means I know what we're talking about each week. I know what about. I know why you're doing it. I know if these things can come out. I don't really know much, right? And this is what it's founded on. And to the left of me is
Kofi Jones.
And Kofi, what do you?
I no, I'm a DJ. Why did I struggle to think of that? I'm a DJ and I produce different forms of media.
That's so vague. But anyway, and I am Marcus Myers.
It's meant to be vague.
And I'm Marcus Myers, and who cares? But what's really important about both me and Kofi is that we are both politically illiterate. And to help us manage in these politically I guess driven times, especially coming up to elections, will be Devaron Bruce. Devaron Bruce is, tell them who you are.
My name is Devaron Bruce. I am presently a writer and a research consultant, and that is pretty much a decent introduction there, huh?
Right, so I was on Morning Barbados with Devaron Bruce. We were bringing Bruce once a week, and he would talk, and the thing is that he's our age, but at the same time, and I like guys that care about these things that I don't care about, but I don't really know about, right? So you were here to tell us about all the things we need to know, right? First thing that I got asked, the budget was last week. What are your feelings about the budget?
I would have to say that I was unsurprised and yet underwhelmed by the budget. We've been having a situation in Barbados for the last maybe a decade now where we've been faced with some economic problems. We have some foreign exchange issues. We have issues with growth. We have issues with our deficit. And the present Minister of Finance has been in that position for about 7 years now. And he's been utilizing the same approach by and large to deal with the situation. And yet we still find ourselves in a situation where we're not any better off, and many would argue that we're actually even worse off. And the budget that was presented last week didn't give any indication that anything would change because the approach has been the same. So why would the result be any different?
Yeah, I recognize some of them words you know use.
Yeah. But okay, when the budget came out, right, that had a lot of backlash. But I was wondering, everybody was saying had a lot of issues with the budget, but they didn't really say what could have been done differently. So I'm thinking that maybe the government is backed up into a corner where they're just that's the last option.
Well, the situation is a difficult one. When we have small developing countries like Barbados, there are not many options on the table when you have a situation where the country is 140% in national debt. You have a $600 million deficit, low economic growth. So there are not that many things that you can do. One of the legitimate ways to deal with a deficit is actually taxation. But as I mentioned earlier, we've been taxing for the last 7 years, and it's not been helping at all. So we certainly need an alternative.
So then what alternative is there?
Well, some people would argue that the Barbadian economy needs to grow, and one of the ways you need to do that as a small country again is through investment. So we can invest in education, that's in growth.
Spend money to make money.
Money to make money, essentially.
Yeah, what used to got me all the time. I mean, our literal motto is pride and industry. We have a industry.
It's like this is tax and industry.
Tax some industries.
Okay, so you say invest. So, but these people that are in the current administration are smart people, though. Like, they are smart and well documented in doing and contributing to the country in a certain way and that kind of thing. So why is it that they don't just go that route? Because you just give a solution in a matter of a sentence.
Well, it's easy to say that, but at the same time, the government is faced with a situation where every dollar that it spends is already appropriated. I believe of every single dollar the government makes, 25% goes towards interest payments alone.
Yeah, okay.
25%.
All right. For the dummies.
Yes, go down.
For me, what is say that say that so
In
that.
layman's.
Of every dollar the government takes in,
Mhm.
25 cents goes to paying interest payments alone. That is money that's setting out of the Barbadian economy and is of no value to the average Barbadian.
When you say that the government takes in, you mean that all of the money that
The tax revenue and everything.
makes.
Yes, there we go. 25% alone goes towards interest payments. That's paying foreigners for our debt.
Which
I mean,
foreigners
okay.
though?
Just loans that we have taken as a country, whether it is from the Caribbean Development Bank, World Bank, just private entities.
Doesn't that mean that eventually the debt will go down? I mean, slowly, surely. But
Well, we're not actually paying the debt. We're just paying the interest on the debt.
so the
Yeah.
We even get his debt yet?
We've not even gone
that's
to
like
the
paying
debt
the
yet.
bare minimum for my bill.
bare
every
minimum.
month. Oh, okay.
And there we
Wow.
go. The reason why we're paying the bare minimum is because we have a situation where about $700 million a year goes towards wages and salaries. I think it's about another $700 million goes towards interest payments. And then a few other sectors such as goods and services and what's not. So literally every cent the government makes is already spent. And you're spending more than you're actually taking in,
Which
which is
brings
a deficit.
which brings me to my next bit. I think Mike headphones. Mike can still hear me, right?
Yeah, we can
Okay,
hear
cool.
you.
Okay, yeah, okay, cool. Which brings me to my next question, though. I keep hearing that Barbados is in a state of emergency, right? But from the general public, like it's kind of like murmurs and rumors and that kind of thing. But the people and the higher up are saying that it's actually not as bad. On a scale of Haiti to Germany, how bad are we? How bad are we? How can you say?
I would say that we're in a category of our own because I think Barbados has one of the worst. We've had a series of downgrades, so we have one of the worst investment grades in the Western Hemisphere. We're on par with Venezuela, I believe, which is
Venezuela with all the riots and the corruption.
Precisely.
That's kind of bad, though.
It is. And I think then Haiti has a better investment grade than Barbados.
They want pardon me?
It does.
That sounds so poor.
You feed dollar and get the value?
Better yet, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean to me?
Barbados as a small economy needs to attract foreign investment. The
All
investment.
right, hold on. Slow down. All of these words, right? Say different words.
All right, let's break this down for you. Let's say you want to have a job at a foreign company, EY, some other foreign company, international business, a bank, any company that is not owned by a Barbadian.
Okay,
is a
right.
foreign
Okay.
company.
Okay.
So when investors in other territories, other countries want to make investments, they look at investment grades of countries, essentially saying, will I make money off of this country?
Mhm.
Is this a good investment to make? And the rating agencies tend to tell them whether or not this is a good bet. For the last 7 years, the rating agencies have been downgrading Barbados' investment grade for the last 7 years. And we're to a point where we're past the junk status and we're almost to default. Default meaning that we will not be able to repay our debts. That's the bet.
Say.
So it has an effect on the ability of the country to provide jobs because, as I said, our local investors don't have enough capital to support the country. So we need capital coming in from other countries. But
All
other
right,
countries are looking past us because our investment grade is so poor.
I don't want to cut you off, but you just said our local investors don't have the capital. I don't know how true this is, but Keith Simmons, what your name?
You're looking at your wrong body.
That's what he named. The
Simpson?
Simpson, sorry. He
Kevin
don't.
Simpson.
Is it Simmons? He don't control like all the gas in the Caribbean or something along them lines.
He owns Seoul, regional. He certainly has the capabilities to make the investment, but remember, Barbados is a $9 billion economy, and Kevin Simpson does not have
billion.
$9 billion.
That don't sound like much, though.
That sounds like a lot less than a country should be.
No. We actually have a pretty decent GDP for the territories, for the Caribbean.
But I mean, like that's like what?
Oprah got
5 times
Oprah ain't
Bill
got like
Gates.
that. Oprah got like $9 billion.
They got people with this sort of money. So
Yeah, there are definitely persons that have more wealth than countries themselves. But we weren't doing too bad, we are now. But as I was saying, we have local investors with the Williams, the Simpsons, and what's not, but they can't be in every sector. For instance, they can't be in the banking sector. They can't be in the the international business sector. We need companies to come in. We need companies to come in because it provides jobs. We need banks to come in. We need accounting firms to come in. We need manufacturers to come in. We need a whole host of different industries to make investment. The tourism industry, a lot of the hotels in Barbados are not locally owned, so we need the international investments because there's just not enough wealth in Barbados to cover them.
So how would we go about doing that though?
One of the ways is through cutting taxes to make Barbados look attractive. So international businesses would look for a country which has low taxation.
International taxes.
Corporate taxes.
Okay. Yeah, I get you.
Essentially cutting corporate taxes to say look, Barbados looks like an attractive investment.
But in Barbados isn't already a tax haven for businesses?
That term has been used by a couple persons. Arguably, some people may say tax haven, but I would say tax competitive. Small countries such as Barbados, we need to do something to be competitive. The others have the car industries, the others have the IT industries. We use our low taxation to say, hey, come to Barbados. We won't charge you very much in taxes. That's a great deal for you. Similarly to what the Bahamas does and Cayman Islands and what's not.
All right, cool.
Okay.
That's all fair and nice, but is it working?
There have been some issues in the last couple of years. Countries such as Canada and regions such as the European Union, they've been having their own fiscal crises as well. So they want businesses to come back. Like what Trump said, bring jobs back to America, bring businesses back to America.
Right.
So they're pointing at us and saying, hey, these small little territories, that's our competition. So they're making laws in those countries that make it more difficult to transfer those benefits.
Rough lot right now.
But before we go on, right, I just want to finish this whole budget conversation. What are the main things in the budget that we should care about?
I would have to start with the levy, the National Social Responsibility Levy. It moved from about 2% to 10%.
Which seems like enough.
Yeah, that's a dramatic increase.
5 times as much.
That is a dramatic increase. The unfortunate thing is that it goes even higher because it is applied before VAT, so VAT compounds on it.
What the hell?
France.
Yeah,
so,
it's an import tax.
So that's 17.5% along with the 10%?
Precisely.
So wait, explain the levy though. What is levy applied to?
The levy applies to everything that's imported and everything that's exported as well.
All right.
I've
heard this, and I really try to understand it. So you're telling me that I go up on Amazon, no, I buy a pants from Amazon, but I buy something from Amazon,
right?
And it come in, so I just gotta pay like this tax that was negligible at one point. I know it's 110 for the price of the thing.
Well, that is a little different. That is the Commission on Foreign Exchange that you're talking about now. The way the tax would work is everything that a manufacturer brings in a supermarket, for instance, he brings in a bottle of alcohol. Everything would come to a higher price because there's an extra 8% tax on every import.
Oh, so it's like things like cannibal soup.
Things like cannibal
Wait,
soup.
That 8% is
an extra 8%
on to the
from
10%.
2 to 10%.
Oh, the 2%. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
precisely.
okay. So
Plus VAT.
why did they choose to do that though? Can they go another direction?
I think the government is under the impression that taxation is really easy. You can just go and write a tax or write a bill and say this is law, and you're required by law to pay taxes. But I think Barbadians are to a point where they're severely overtaxed.
Wait, hold on a minute. Walmart, what are you saying?
Stop that now.
Shout out to Walmart. It's so engineer.
Walmart,
What?
it started.
What?
It started.
Oh, I just see my pointing back and forth. Anyway, you were saying.
The engineering good man.
No, I was saying, like, legitimately, you can use a tax to deal with the deficit situation. A deficit is essentially you're spending more than you're making. So the way you can do that is to take in more. But there is not much more to take in because Barbadians are so heavily taxed. So there needs to be an alternative way of government making money or spending less money.
And my thing is that how many people are going to be impacted by this levy? Because a lot of people depend on bringing in things.
As long as
to sell.
ET will be impacted on this by this levy.
So that's everybody. But
everyone.
what could you say would be the main businesses that would be?
It would have to be retail,
Mhm.
the food industry, for instance, because we all must eat. And
So then when they bring in food, they're gonna bump up the price on the food.
Well,
precisely because of the tax.
I even studying, like, look at companies like Shafat, like, they have to import the cups, the bags, the ketchup packages. All of that gotta get bumped up. No. So a Wednesday special is going to be about $21 come July.
So this is effective when? July? You want?
I think it's from July 1st. I correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, like, all right, I obviously ain't got the better idea right now, but like, a 8% increase on legit everything coming in the island. We don't.
Yeah,
do
that
nothing.
doesn't-
And
we don't
exiting
worry.
the island as well too. I
Pardon
think
me?
exiting the island as well too.
Right,
So
we already don't really do nothing as much. Like, I think,
Yeah.
like, if for some reason the harbor was to stop for a week, Barbados can froth.
Is there anything good about the levy?
The
in
government
theory,
money.
it's supposed to deal with our deficit situation, but given the projections from the last 7 years, we've been using taxation to decrease the deficit, and it's
So we
still
just
pretty high.
beat this dead horse.
We're
love
still
more.
beating this dead horse. So I don't think there's anything. Well, again, another one maybe it can save foreign reserves, because if things become too expensive, people would spend less, and if you spend less, there's less money going out of the country.
But
Let's
if
see
you spend
back.
less, that don't affect the economy
It
negatively.
hurts economic growth, exactly, because the shop down the road making less money, making less money. So there's no reason to really employ anyone. So
Right,
it hurts
so-
economic
So okay,
growth
the deficit goes down.
in theory.
Yeah, let's say for the sake of conversation it goes down.
Mhm.
Then what? Nobody ain't got a job, so you can just spend that same money to employ people because people are gonna be very. So
So
you can
it's
spend that money on
actually,
housing.
there we go. That's the argument, that if you overtax, you hurt the economy. When you hurt the economy, you increase your deficit. So it's a very
I mean,
circular-
alright, I just don't see how it makes sense that Bruce, a man we age, can come and tell
Yeah.
two ignorant people. So are we already like saying, yeah, that makes sense?
Yeah.
How does it make sense to the people in power?
Again, taxation is easy, and dealing with the other ways to deal with your deficit would be cutting government spending. That's
Okay.
easy to say, but that's transport board, that's
Yeah,
education,
So
that's
it's just
social
the,
services.
No, I don't want to say lazy way out, but
You can say the lazy way
oh
out.
yeah,
But-
that is lazy way out.
Speaking of government spending, though, of course you saw the Prime Minister's car. What do you think about that whole situation? Because I heard, I saw the complaints and then I saw his response.
I would say that the response was a reasonable response, but politics is all about perception rather than explanation. And the perception is that Barbadians are under a lot of pressure, and the government is essentially wasting money.
But at the end of the day, it's his money though. He got paid.
Well, it's the government's vehicle, as you said, not his own personal vehicle, and
Wait,
whoever's it's the government's vehicle.
Right, it's
so
not
whoever
his.
becomes
not
prime
his.
minister next year
Oh,
would
nah,
have
that's
it.
garbage. I thought this man buy this.
No.
He pocket.
No. The Prime Minister doesn't buy any. Does he buy anything?
I would assume he does, but there are certain benefits of being a prime minister, which is perfectly fine. but-
I know. Following this.
Yeah.
That's BS.
But he said, what is it exactly? He said that basically, there was the same complaint was with David Thompson when he was in.
Yes, I think it was along the lines of, in 2007, the previous administration had ordered the MP vehicle in the estimates, and it arrived when David Thompson took office. And politics sometimes is sometimes it doesn't make any sense, but you try to score political points. So
Okay.
a new prime minister in
I
office,
still
big
be-
vehicle.
Yeah.
I was wondering what was the problem. The man spending his own money. I know he
Nah,
spending
no.
money that
It's
he's
the
paying
government. The government is spending the money so that the Prime Minister can be driven in their car.
back.
So
We hearing this?
yeah, and that was right after the budget.
Well,
But it was ordered before.
It was
the
ordered
budget,
before the
so,
budget.
But
But
the
it's,
timing of that.
yeah,
The
it looks
time-
bad.
there
It
we go.
looks
There we
My
go.
bad.
man bring it in before the tax.
Yeah.
well, I don't think he would have to pay duty on the vehicle.
Yeah.
Yes, the government usually
More
doesn't pay that.
political perks. Okay. Okay. What do young people need to do to survive and keep their head above water in this levy coming up and the budget and just the climate right now?
Start breathing.
Well,
What you would say?
I would say there is.
Which we have to get to as well. By the way.
Stop raping. That's
Yeah.
I think young people need to be more realistic of what is not only going on in Barbados, but globally. The global economy is changing regardless of what is happening in Barbados. The world is more competitive. Before we had a situation where half of the globe was cut off. Now everything is globalized, so we have to compete with the Chinese, we have to compete with the Africans, the South Americans, the Europeans, everyone. So that is the mindset that people really have to at the get-go. I need to be more competitive. I need to retool. I need to take risks. I need to be higher educated, because regardless of whether the Barbadian economy is healthy or not, we have to compete. As far as the domestic level, I would have to say you have no choice but to whole strain, and to pressure our government.
Nah,
don't
give me that parliamentary answer. No, I want.
You might not tell you start fetting.
Yeah.
So calm, be like in such.
Give me it straight. Give me
No. I wouldn't say stop fretting. You have legitimate concerns because things are not going well, and as young people, we have a lot of aspirations, and this is creating a lot of anxieties, a lot of uncertainty. For instance, there are persons who want to move out of their mother's house.
Right.
There are persons who want to buy a vehicle. There are persons who want to further their studies. So there are a lot of anxieties and a lot of promises that we had in our minds and expectations that aren't coming through.
So then, what should we do? Like, what's the next step?
The next step again, you need to hold your governments accountable. You need to put pressure on governments, because young people are the persons who are going to be impacted the long term, because it's us that have to pay back the debt. Older persons, I don't want to say this badly, will die off, and you don't really have a death tax as far as I know. You don't pay taxes when you're dead. So it's me at 26 years old that'll be having to pay off this debt to probably I'm 50. So we have the most to lose, but yet we're the most disengaged demographic in the island, or globally, really.
So who we should vote for?
I would not go as far as to tell someone who to vote for.
Nah,
but
Bruce, tell me though. Tell me who should we vote for? What the current administration has done is safe to say you can make a fair assessment. Who should we vote for? The B's or the D's?
I think a fair assessment would be if you should treat voting as you would treat any other aspect of your life. If you go to a restaurant for the first time and order some food and it wasn't very nice, and you gave them a second chance, and you go on back a second time, you give them a second chance, the food again wasn't very nice. Would you go a third time? Would you go a third time?
But nah, alright, to play devil's advocate. But suppose the restaurant down the street got rats running about in it.
Well, often the argument would be, well, they're no better, but we know you're bad. We don't know if the other person is bad. Let's give it a shot. We know for sure you're bad.
We don't know how many rats they have. But we know what the prices
we know how many rats you have.
Right, and we know the rats are prices in yours, but we don't know the amount of rats in theirs. So basically, you're saying don't vote this current administration back in.
Personally, I am saying that I would not vote the current administration back in for a variety of reasons. 2 terms for me is enough. I tend to support term limits, essentially. So I would say 2 terms is enough for a government to be in office, because over 2 terms you become complacent, you become corrupt, you lose interest, so a whole set of problems. So to have a more dynamic society, you need more persons involved. So there are ideas that the Democratic Labour Party have that will be good, and there are ideas that the Barbados Labour Party have that will be good. We've given the Dems a chance, so I think it's a time that you should give the Bs a chance now.
What have the Dems done that has been good?
Well,
they have a very I'm hearing a bad reputation that they're getting, but is it really deserved though?
I would say it is deserved. They've handled the economy very poorly. No, because others in the region are doing not considerably better, but certainly better. As I said, we have one of the lowest investment grades. Our growth rate has been low. Issues of governance. So I would say that they have not been doing a satisfactory job, but they've also obviously done things that are commendable. For instance, the alternative energy industry. They've done some tax breaks and tax incentives to get the alternative industry going, but it has stalled. Beyond that, I personally can't think of anything.
So the D's have done nothing good for
I would not say that. They're persons who benefited from their housing program. Stuff like that. But the fundamentals remain weak. So all the good things that you might have done or could have done, the economy is in a poor situation, and that just cascades everything good that you have done.
And it's not necessarily the party per se, it's just the people at the time in the party.
Precisely. It's just this government is not per se the Democratic Labour Party, because the Democratic Labour Party represents probably a good 40-50% of the population. But the current administration, those 16 men and 1 woman in government, they've not been doing a very good job.
So, but looking at the other party now, the bees, I hear have a lot of infighting. That's true, or is it not as much as people think?
I think politics in itself, they would have a lot of infighting, because there are many egos, there are many persons with ulterior motives. So that is natural. We should not always critique a party for having infighting. Infighting can be good. It can lead you to a better position. You share ideas, you disagree with your members.
Well, like your parents fight, or a fight with a girl, or a fight with a boyfriend, whatever. It's like whatever.
There we go. So infighting is not always a bad thing, because it can lead you to a better situation. Sharing of ideas, for instance.
Or you might get a black eye.
Yeah, you might get a black eye.
Well, I guess people will find out.
We always point to the disunity in the Barbados Labour Party, but there's been quite a lot of disunity in the Democratic Labour Party as well. We've seen persons like the Minister of International Business. We've seen the Minister of Water Resources. Those two in particular have not been totally on board with the party when it comes to even the budget, for instance. I've been seeing persons say that they should have voted against the budget, but voting against the budget essentially is a no confidence against your own government. So that wouldn't really make any sense. At the end of the day, they're politicians, and they're not going to shoot themselves in the foot. We could all be honest here.
You see that thing on I can't remember which publication it was in, but somebody said that you could get in prison for speaking out against politicians on social media. You know that situation, because I can't remember it too well.
I vaguely remembered 1 or 2 prosecutions in the last couple of years, but I would say that libel laws.
One of the prosecutions, and then people were actually charged for this thing?
As charged, but I'm not sure if they've been prosecuted. I should say charged, not prosecuted. I would say that the Caribbean, not only Barbados, we have always had these libel laws and defamation laws and what's not. I would say that they tend to be there as a way to intimidate people, which should not be the case. We should be pushing for more freedom of expression, more freedom of speech. And when people try to critique the government, that can be a good thing, because critiques you can learn from your critiques.
But that's what I'm thinking. This is the thing that gets me very upset, I guess in Barbados particularly. I hold someone to a standard where if you do something positive, we will reward you, whether it's verbally, whatever. Especially if you're doing a service for the country. But if you do something that, needs a bit of improvement, you then call them up for it too. But every time that I hear something that seems like it's not on the positive side, or it could be a way that, there could be, constructive criticism, it seems as though people get shut down or silenced or something. I don't know why.
Yes, we have a culture in the Caribbean in total, really, that it's very partisan, and, you tend to victimize opposition voices. You tend to victimize dissenting voices, which should not be the case, because people have the right to speak. People have the right to their freedom of expression and what's not. And there's no monopoly on knowledge. No one person has all the knowledge in the world, so you can listen to the other sides without having to shut them dissent. We need to change that culture where you have this I know everything mindset. It's not working for us at all. We're already small. Why divide ourselves even further? All hands on deck, all talent on deck, all knowledge on deck.
That's what I'm thinking too, but I don't know if the division has to do with people kind of like trying to save their relationships and that kind of thing, so they don't want to say anything. And then also that whole thing about like silencing people is because of the fact that Barbados is so small, so everybody's kind of like thinking for themselves, kind of, and not for the betterment of the
I see what you mean, because many persons unfortunately are dependent on the government for employment, for contracts and what's not. So it becomes an economic situation where you don't want to critique the government when you're putting money in your pocket, for instance, because you can be victimized. But that should not be the case, because as an individual citizen, you should have the right to speak your voice. Okay. I've had situations in the past where I've done interviews. I've asked persons political questions and they shy away. Because one person told me that sometimes when you critique some of these politicians, all of a sudden your business just go away. You're getting less business. That should not be the case.
Yeah.
We should stop doing that.
All right. Well, I mean, I feel we can talk again though, because as things progress, we need to be informed, because I ain't know what's going on. And they use a lot of political jargon that I don't know, and I don't feel like I don't feel like going to learn any words, right? But yeah, so we will talk again. But before we go, just give me sentences. What should the youth do? I guess people under 30 do to kind of stay above water again.
Again, I would just say at this point we need to hold our government accountable. We need to be less divisive among ourselves, and we need to be more engaged.
What could the government do instead of the road they're going down?
You know, just in case they watch this.
Yeah.
Well, I've been hearing the only solution is disillusion. So, call an election essentially, it seems, because the confidence is not there. And I'm not saying that as a partisan or anything of the sort. It's just we've given them a chance. The situation has gotten considerably worse. So, I think that there just needs to be new blood and new ideas and new governance in our system.
Should we stop bringing in things and selling them and find another way to do things?
That tends to cost money, that initial investment, but it's worth it in the long term.
But with the levy,
with the levy, we may have some problems with that.
Well, I guess we'll just go wait and see. I don't know. Do you think that the Prime Minister should give back his car and get
For sure.
get a RAV4?
But no, interestingly enough, I've seen other countries, Germany, the UK, these people drive Jaguars and Peugeots and what's
because it's Germany.
So
I mean, they have like
lower level, lower skills,
lower scale as opposed to
Mercedes Benz. Right?
Yeah. And so I don't know.
We fathoming that for sure. Like, I know really vibes that this man spending the government. Man, let me done. Let me close this.
Yeah. So yes, this is the INO podcast. I want to thank Devaron Bruce for coming. This is the first time that we have our little politically illiterate conversations, because we don't really know much about what's going on, because I feel like a lot of politicians don't necessarily speak to people that aren't in that arena. So thanks for coming, man, and we got another episode soon.
Yeah,
that was it.
All right,
we out.